While everyone else is slowing down for the holidays, the government is actually quietly ramping up their housing plans. So in this video, let's recap what's happened so far, what we're expecting for the next year or two, and what it means for you as a real estate investor. But before I continue, check this out. This is a heads up that you can get our complete Toronto real estate investing guide for free on our website. You can see things like a breakdown of typical costs, rents, appreciation, sample financials that you can change up to see how it affects your returns, and even try out a quiz to see what might fit you best. I'll put a link to the free guide in the description below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss other content like this made just for real estate investors in Toronto. It started with Bill 23, which was introduced at the end of October with a goal for Ontario to build 1.5 million more homes in the next 10 years. And the most important thing here, in our opinion, is that there will be a greater focus on the low-rise homes and more lenient rules to allow single-family homes to have up to 3 units in them. Either 2 units in the main house and another separate unit in a separate building on the property, or 3 units in the main house. There was controversy, but Bill 23 actually got approved somewhat quietly at the end of November, and now municipalities in Ontario have 1 year from that date, so end of November of 2023, to incorporate this into their bylaws. What also happened around the same time was that our mayor, John Tory, also got some special superpowers, which allows him to pass building-related bylaws with just 1/3 of the support from City Council if it comes down to it. And all of this is coming together in Toronto this month. Earlier this month, Mayor John Tory introduced a new 2023 housing plan for Toronto, which aims to build at least 285,000 new homes in our city within the next 10 years. And he aims to do it by reviewing how things are right now, figuring out how to fully optimize housing density, and then loosening up zoning requirements to actually make this happen. Again, this is seen as another bold move. For example, legalizing rooming houses got rejected twice in the last year and a half, and it was still part of this plan. But this time around, it finally got okayed by City Council without John Tory needing to use his special mayor powers. And now we have a concrete timeline to see a draft of the new housing plan by March of 2023 and a tentative implementation date of March of 2024. So let's dig into what they're actually aiming to do. The first task, like I mentioned, is to legalize rooming houses. But here's the thing, even though it's not legal in many parts of a city right now, the reality is that they do exist illegally. And because the city can't track where they are, it's really hard to keep them well maintained. And in the last 10 years or so, it looks like there were 16 incidents of fire-related deaths in rooming houses, and 14 of them were in illegal rooming houses. So legalizing them will help our city regulate them better and ends up providing a safer living environment for one of the most affordable housing options here in Toronto. The second task on this plan is to allow multiplexing in single-family homes, and this is in line with what Doug Ford requires us to do, but I think we're actually going to go one step further this time. In fact, the city actually has a multiplex team that has been looking into this before Bill 23, and we're probably going to build on that. So if that's the case, Toronto's probably going to allow up to 4 units in each single family home inside what they call neighborhoods, which are basically houses that are not on major streets. And there's going to be a separate set of regulations for houses on major streets, and it's possible that they will see even more lenient rules because they do have easier access to transit. Now, the third task that they will be looking into is to review the Portlands, the Waterfront, and other possible areas where housing density might be able to grow more quickly and then optimize it. Of course, it still looks like there's a lot of details that need to be ironed out, but it does look like it's going to happen in the next couple of years, and in our opinion, it is a step in the right direction. The first thing we see is that the government does recognize that most immigrants will choose to live in Toronto, and that's why housing in Toronto is a priority, and our mayor is getting special powers to get things done more quickly. Once we see even more residents and more housing, that's going to allow our governments to invest more in infrastructure. And this ends up being more attractive for businesses, jobs, and workers. And all of this will help support higher, more sustained growth in our city for at least the next 10 years. The second thing is stability. When you're looking at smaller towns, a lot of them do rely on single or limited economies. So what happens during a recession is that they are more likely to experience higher levels of unemployment, which can translate to higher renter risk. In Toronto, we already have a diverse economy, and as our city continues to grow, this will further strengthen it. Trends in the past tell us that in a recession, people living in rural areas tend to move back to the city. Travel costs and time will go up if they end up having to work in the city and live outside of it, so it does make more sense to just live closer and get higher pay too. So if more of the renter pool stays employed in Toronto, and if the renter demand in the core actually goes up, then Toronto landlords will continue to see lower tenant risk as our city continues to improve. Finally, right now, if someone wanted to rent a 2-bedroom home, they might have a choice between a high-rise apartment or a basement apartment. So in other words, there's just not many options out there if they wanted a smaller but nicer unit in a house. So from a tenant standpoint, this multiplex change is positive because it will open up more affordable options instead of being forced to rent a 4-bedroom house in order to live in a neighborhood. From a landlord standpoint, even though there are more lower-priced rental units, the total rent actually improves compared to before. And from a city standpoint, they're able to provide more affordable housing, so it's actually a win-win for a lot of people. We don't expect all houses to convert into multiplexes, but if just 2% of the 400,000 houses in Toronto turn from 1 unit to 4 units, over the next 10 years, that's 240,000 new units created, so it's definitely possible. If the city actually wants to get this done, we do expect more incentives for homeowners, and because of this, there should be continued spotlight on Toronto houses, which will eventually generate increasing investor demand in the low-rise market moving forward. And if you're new to this and you want to understand more about investing in houses, what their rents look like, what cash flows look like, and what type of value add opportunities there are to bump up your returns even more, just reach out to us. We're a real estate sales brokerage that focuses on investing in houses and multifamily homes in Toronto, and here's how it's like to work with us. First, we'll do a discovery call with you so we get to know each other more and help you get your financing ready, and then we'll teach you how to analyze deals. Once you're set, our sales team will work with you to find the best opportunities on the market and eventually help you buy the best one for you. Houses typically need a bit of renovations and we'll help you with a detailed scope of work and contractor connections. And then once you're ready to rent out the place, we also have leasing and property management services if you need it. So if you want to learn more about any of this, just head over to our website at the link down below. Again, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and look for us on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn if you want to hear from us more regularly. You can also head over here to check out our other videos. Thanks so much for watching and see you in the next video.